Thank you for joining us for the 2-Minute Drills. I'm Aram Talegian, joined by Steve Ramirez, and behind the camera, Fred J. Robledo.
Here.
Freddie, if it wasn't for the new office and the new surroundings, I feel like we were talking exactly about last year at this exact same time. Now, what am I referring to? I'm referring to Diamond Bar starting the season 2-0 with 2 easy wins, which is exactly what Diamond Bar
Give us those scores, Aram. Give us those scores.
Last year's
No,
scores?
Diamond Bar. The past 2 weeks.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. They opened the season with a 44-13 win over Duarte. Then they win the branding iron game over Walnut, 57-7. Very impressive. Now, last year they opened the season with two blowout wins, and then came San Dimas in the 3rd game of the season. At that point, Diamond Bar was ranked number 1. Get that, number 1 in the Central Division, and San Dimas really shellacked them last year, and that was kind of
their undoing too.
Yes,
wasn't
it was.
Diamond
It
Bar?
really was, because Diamond Bar didn't win a league game last year, so it was kind of their reality wake up call, whatever you want to call it. It was their barometer, and it didn't go well. And here we are in the exact same position this year, and we're talking about San Dimas 1-0, going to Diamond Bar on Friday night 2-0. This is looking like besides that West Covina South Hills game, the Tribune area's game of the week. I don't know what else it could be. What are your thoughts?
What I want to ask you first, Steve, is San Dimas, that smacking they gave Maranatha last week, what was expected of Maranatha coming into the season? Because the year before, they were undefeated until they lost in the playoffs. Did they lose that much that San Dimas can go there and knock them around like that?
I didn't get that impression. I mean, they lost. They lost their quarterback, they lost the running back, they lost their receiver. But they also had another couple of receivers, and they had to develop a quarterback and a running back. So if they would have lost, I would say, kind of a close game, I would say, that's just Maranatha is trying to develop new players. But I was just impressed how bad San Dimas beat them. Not just because they've got a new coaching staff, and there's usually an adjustment for that, but it looks like they're the same old San Dimas.
Yeah, Aram, I don't know what to make of this game this week, because when Coach Z left San Dimas, kind of the feeling was there wasn't a lot coming back, and I know there were going to be some changes. New coaching staff comes in there, but I didn't expect the blowout win over Maranatha. Because Maranatha last year and it's a Coach Bogan team. You just don't expect them to go there and smack them around like that. So I'm really this is a really intriguing game for me this week. And you mentioned at the top, Diamond Bar, starting the same way they did a year ago. What have they learned from then? How are they going to be prepared differently this time? I mean, this is a second-year coach. Now, last year is a guy who came from New York and didn't know a lot about the Southland. He's had a whole year under his belt. He has that experience of playing San Dimas. Now, it might not be your Bill Zernico's wing Z over there, but they're running some variation of the wing T and some other stuff. This is just a compelling game for me Friday night, because it's really hard to pick this game. It's so close. It could be another San Dimas blowout. It could be a Diamond Bar blowout. It could be a close game. There are just so many different ways you think this game could go.
Yeah, last year's game was 38-14. Now, Coach Hughes, Marcus Hughes, the second-year coach of Diamond Bar, says his team is much further along this year than it was last year. Now, you could say you believe that, but that team had Noodles Hull as its kind of premier player. This team has no such weapon, so that's kind of the big mystery about them. Is maybe they're more familiar with their own systems and they're more comfortable in it, and there's more cohesiveness, but they don't have that one monstrous weapon that you need in a big game like this to go off.
Yeah.
And that's what makes Diamond Bar a bit of a mystery. Now, he's saying he's confident, this is being Marcus Hughes, that his team is going to play a much better game on Friday night than it did last year.
You look at his track record. I mean, they hired him last year, and you look at what he did in New York and other places.
Yeah,
he's really able to build teams up, and defensively, I think kind of was his MO. And you look at what they did these first 2 weeks, really shutting these teams down defensively. Now, you mentioned there's no Noodles, and there's none of those players that you can kind of just look to and say this is their guy. All of those. But who knows how he's coached these guys up on defense, what he's done with them in the weight room. I'm just, at this point, I'm going to buy his history, and I know we're going to get to picks. I'm going with Diamond Bar to beat San Dimas. As impressive as San Dimas was this week, I'm kind of buying and thinking Diamond Bar learned a lot from last season, that Coach Hughes learned a lot, and they're going to be ready, and this game is at home. I just have the sneaky feeling they're going to get it done, and I picked them in this week's Trimskin Pick'em.
Wow. Okay, we can start getting into predictions right now. Mark Holman took over for Coach Zernico. Obviously, big shoes to fill, but Holman was a longtime Zernico assistant. Now, Holman, last week, Stevie tried to sell me a little bit on the fact that, hey, this isn't going to be, a Coach Z team, and we're going to do some different things, and, we're going to be multiple. That's not really what happened against Maranatha. They kind of look like same old San Dimas, good wing-based running game, good defense, good line play. He assured me they're going to be more physical. They have a really nice defense. San Dimas is the forgotten team in the Mid-Valley Division. It's kind of funny. I mean, for all the success they've had, all we've talked about is Pomona, Northview, Montebello now, Pericles, Sierra Canyon, and so on. San Dimas is that forgotten team, and I get it. They had a down year last year by their standards, but they're still very formidable, and you're going to have to stop that kind of funky offense. I'm picking San Dimas. I don't think the game's going to be as close. I mean, as big of a blowout as it was last year. I think it'll be closer, but I'm still picking San
Stevie,
Dimas. Stevie,
decide this for us.
Yeah,
well,
split the difference.
I'm going with San Dimas. I think it'll be a closer game, and I think defensively Diamond Bar will play better, because once you see that offense for the first time, I mean, you could look at it on film, but it's hard to translate that to your players, and until they actually see it and know how to stop it. I think that extra year of having that knowledge of playing them they'll play better defensively, but it's still a tough team to stop, and I think it'll be a close game this year, but I think San Dimas will win it.
Okay, so Stevie has San Dimas. I have San Dimas. Freddie takes Diamond Bar in a mild upset. This game goes down right off the 57 freeway at Diamond Bar High School. Big one, 7 o'clock. Get out there and enjoy it.